Okay, so here is the Eastman 33A view camera. This is the case that it comes in, and I'll show you how to use it, everything like that. Just flip these up right here, flip that up. This lock on here, I'm not going to lock it. I never had it locked, but I never tried to mess with it or anything. But when you open it up, you're going to see that the camera is on this side and the film holders are right here. There's room for 8 film holders. You could probably get 9 in there, but this is what it looks like and everything when it's folded up and inside of the case. Now I'm going to pause this for a second and resume it in a minute here. Okay, so I'm going to do my best to walk you through this. I'm going to try to keep everything in frame. But anyway, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the camera out of the case, and you can just grab it by the rear of it and this piece right here, and just pull up, and it comes out. It's a little snug in there with the lens cap on the lens and everything. Okay, and that is what it looks like when you take it out. Now let me adjust this and show you a little bit better how it works and things like that. Okay, so we have the front of the camera. Okay, I'm gonna pause this and readjust this, make it easier here. Okay, this is the camera in the front, and as you can see when I turn it around, you can see how it folds for storage and everything like that. Okay, and then the first thing you're going to do is there's a clasp. This holds it closed right here. You just move that and it moves away, and then the rail system will drop down just like that. And there is a like a wing nut, key nut thing here. This is a screw that goes in and makes this flat. So you're just going to turn this, and until it stops. You don't want to over tighten anything because this camera is made of wood, and you don't want to crack the wood by over tightening. But that puts the rail in place like so. Okay, and the next thing you're going to do is on the left side. Here you are looking at the camera from the rear. This knob on the left side, if you're looking at it from the back, this loosens, will tighten, and it'll keep the camera from moving along the rail. If you tighten it up, the camera won't move. It'll be, it's for locking the focus. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that that's a little bit loose, and then you just simply roll with the other knob over here. You simply roll out the back, and you can see that the bellows is getting longer and everything because you're opening it up by turning that knob right here. Okay, so once you get it open like that, simply come over here back to the other side, and on the left side here, you want to, if you notice that it'll start to move. It's kind of creeping down because it's not locked. So come over here, come back over to this side, and you want to just tighten that. You don't have to make it real tight. Just enough to keep it from creeping on you. It's not going to creep or anything like that. So let me make another adjustment. Okay, so now we've got the camera open and everything, and we'll show you some things about it. Okay, I'm going to turn it so you can see the back. This is the camera back right here. This is the camera back. And what you do is with the film holder, The film holder, as you know, it'll just go in this right side over here, just like that. And then you just, after you focused and composed your image, you just pull the dark slide, fire, and do that. But the nice thing about this camera is that you can do both horizontal and vertical shots. This is set up for the horizontal shot, and to do a vertical shot with it, what you do is these two little thingies right here are hold the back on. So there's two pins there. So all you do to change it from shooting vertical or horizontal to vertical is you just lift those up a little bit and the back comes off. Now you can see that the back is off and there's the inside of the bellows and everything. And then on the back there's pins right here. There's a pin here and a pin here, and that holds it in the top. And then on the bottom there's pins right there as well. And on the camera itself has receptacles for the pins here, 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 and here. So, okay, this is when it's in the vertical or the horizontal position. Now, to put it in the vertical position, you just take the pin here and the pin here, and you just line it up on there and snap it into place. And now you're ready to shoot vertical. You just, compose your image vertically, and then you just take the film holder, stick it in the top like so, compose your, fire to shutter, and all that good stuff, and then it's good to go. And, go back to shooting horizontal. Just take it off again, and simply put it back, and it snaps right back in place to where it was originally. Okay, so now tilts and swings. The front of when I get around to the front, there's no tilt or swing adjustment in the front. The tilt and swing is only adjustments you can make with those is from the rear. Now, if you look on the side here, this is on the right side of the camera if you're looking at the back of it, you have this key right here, and you loosen that key and you see that you can tilt the forward and tilt the backward. It's not as dramatic as effect as there is with a 4x5 that you have the front and the rear that you're able to tilt and get some really good movements out of it. But it helps with some images that you want to do. And then just tighten that up just a little bit. You don't want to over tighten it, and that'll let me show you, that'll, if you put it all the way back and tighten it up, you can see that now that keeps it in position. And then we're simply just going to loosen that and bring it back right there and line it up and tighten it up a little, and that is the tilting. Now swings, the swing key is located on the bottom of the camera. It's near the lock, near the focus lock, and same thing with it. You simply loosen it, and then it will swing to the left and swing to the right. It's not really that dramatic. I'll show you a little bit closer on here. You can see that the swing, it really isn't that dramatic as far as swinging goes. Not like a 4x5, but it gives you some control over it. And then you can just simply put it back into position. It's pretty easy to line it up normal, and then just tighten that back again. And like I said, don't over tighten it, because you don't want to crack the wood. Okay, so that's the rear of the camera and part of the side and everything. So next thing we're going to look at is the lens itself on the front. It's kind of a different lens than is on a normal view camera. I'll show you some things about it. You have your, let's take the lens cap off. I put a 46 millimeter filter that I found. It's a UV filter that is on the lens. This will allow you to use filters on it. It took me a long time to find an exact match for it, but I finally did find one. And now, with it being a UV filter, it's not going to affect the exposure or anything like that. And you can use the Koken A-series filters on it, which are pretty inexpensive and pretty easy to find if you want to do anything with filters with the camera. Here's your shutter speed dial up at the top. There is a notch that you line up the number of the shutter speed with up here. There's a notch right here that you line up the shutter speed number with, and it gives you shutter speeds from 1 second to 200th of a second, and they're fairly accurate, pretty good. I never had any problems with any of it. The shutter doesn't stick at all. It's a contour shutter, and it on the side of it says that the shutter was made in Germany, so it's a pretty good shutter. Now, another thing, this dial right here has I, B, and T on it. I is for instant, and that's if you're using the shutter speeds from 1 second to 1/200th of a second. And B, of course, is for bulb, and that will hold the shutter open as long as you hold either this lever right here down or a plunger on a cable release for the camera, for the lens right here. You can put the cable release in right there. And then it has T for time, and that is, you press the button, you press the shutter, and then if you're the best thing to do with that is use a cable release so that you can leave it open and then push it again to close it, and I'll demonstrate that here in a second. So that is those. And more about those in a minute, and we'll set it back to instant. Instant is for the shutter speeds, like I said. And then this little lever over here cocks the shutter. So you just simply put that lever down like that, and this trips the shutter. You can trip it with your finger, or you can use a cable release, which I will attach. So you just take the cable release and attach it to the lens. Cable release is now there, and we can cock the shutter and fire it. Okay, and that's at half a second, or I'm sorry, 1/5 of a second. Then you've got 1/10 of a second. Cock it again and fire it. Okay, now in order to focus, unlike most view camera lenses, this doesn't have a mechanism where you can cock the shutter slide the thing to open the shutter so you can focus and compose. What you have to do is it's on instant. To focus, you have to turn the selector to T. And then once you turn it to T, you can push the shutter release down here on the side, and that opens up the shutter. Let me move this up a little bit so you can see that the shutter opens. See, here we go. And we're going to open the shutter. You can see the shutter opens, and you can focus, and as long as that is open, you're focusing. And then when you want to stop down, once you've composed your image and you've stopped down, then you just simply push it again and it closes the shutter. You can do it with the cable release too if you don't want to have to go around to the front with it. But let me put it back on bulb or instant. It has no effect. So even if you were to cock the shutter, it's still not going to have any effect. So like I said, in order to focus and compose your image, you need to set this to T and either open it manually with your finger on that, or use a cable release and do it that way. Okay, and the aperture control is right here. It sticks out here, and it moves along. Let's see. It moves along the shutter. The aperture is right here, and your apertures on this lens go from 4.5 to f32, and when I move that, you can see that the aperture guide up here that you line up with the aperture on the lines, if you want them, exact, it matches. You just put it right to the number that you want to use as far as the aperture setting that you're trying to do, that you want. 4.5 is wide open. It's a pretty fast lens for 5x7. So we have that, and when you open the shutter, you can use it. You can see that it stops down to f32, and you can see that the shutter, that the aperture blades open up again. So that is pretty neat with that. But then, remember, you focused and composed your image. Now you just want to close it, and then you want to set this to instant, and then you can select your shutter speed. I'm going to put it on 1/2 second. Okay, then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cock the shutter, and then we're going to fire the shutter and listen for it. And there you go. And that's that. And let's disconnect the cable release. Now, the lens board here in the front is easy to remove. You just simply turn this key right here. You turn this key to the right or to the left, and then you can just lift up lift it up from the bottom, and the lens board comes right out. And this will be, you can probably have somebody look at this lens board, and somebody could make you a new lens board, where you could use modern 5x7 lenses on it, but this is a classic old lens, and it just gives nice soft images. The lens is pretty clean. It's not there's not a lot of junk inside of it and everything. Let's see, I'll attempt to give you a pretty good look at that in there, and let's see, we'll open that up, and I'm not sure if you can see in there, but it's a pretty clean lens. There's the usual dust and some spots in there from cleaning over the years. I don't know how old the lens is, but I know that this camera, the only reference to this camera that I can find anywhere online as far as manufacture date or anything like that was in a Eastman Kodak camera catalog from 1938. So this camera could be, from that year. I don't know. There's so little information on this camera. I don't know how long it was made or even how many of them were made. But it is a really, really nice camera, and it has this really nice Eastman View camera number 33A nameplate on it, and it's really nice. It's really, really made well and everything. Okay, so now that I've showed you the lens. Okay, I'm back now. Sorry about that. I had changed the battery, but now that I've shown you the lens, I'm going to show you the rise and fall feature of the front. Like I said, the front does not tilt or swing. Your swings are tilt and swing is only relegated to the rear of the camera. But there's a knob right here on the side, and if you loosen that knob, you can see that the front will rise, and it'll go up that high, or the front will drop down that far. And then if you want to get it back to a normal setting, there are two pins. There's a pin on the front of the camera that the lens board goes onto, and also on the side right here there's another pin on there, and you just line those two up. You just line those two up like so, and tighten that up, and you're back to normal shooting, just a regular landscape scene, and stuff like that. So pretty basic. The bellows are in really good condition. There's no holes in them. There's no light leak, which is phenomenal for a camera that's this old. The bellows are nice, and there's a little dust on them, but I didn't dust it off or anything. I kind of think it just added to it, so you're getting original dust. But that's about it as far as the camera goes. It's really a really nice piece of equipment and everything, and I'm sure you'll get a lot of use out of it, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I'm sure you'll get some great images with it. I shot paper negatives and X-ray film. You do a little bit of research on X-ray film. X-ray film is pretty easy to handle because you can handle it in under a safe light. The only thing I can say about X-ray film is that it's I guess the tonal range is different than regular film, but you can still buy black and white 5x7 film and some black and white color film still, and shoot that. But I don't know how you'll process it, but I did mine in trays, which that was another story. But anyway, close the camera back up. We'll loosen this over here, and we'll roll it all the way forward like so. You can see here, you can see that it's rolling all the way forward on the rail. Okay, and then I'm gonna come over here and unscrew the key thing right there. I don't know if it comes out. I never really tried to pull it out. It's best not to, that way you won't lose it. And then you just tilt it up, and whoops, let me get this to where you can actually see what I'm doing. Okay, then you just tilt it up and swing this back around, and it locks in place. Okay, and then just take the lens cap and put it over the lens, and you're good to go. Put it back in the case and move on. The whole thing, weighs close to 25 pounds. I used to carry it around and stuff when I was shooting, but it's kind of like a small suitcase. It's really nice, and it gets the job done. But I hope you enjoy it. I hope you have some good luck with it. And I just really I haven't had time to shoot with it anymore, and hate to see it go, but it's not being used. I'd rather see it in the hands of somebody that's going to use it. If you have any questions about it or anything, feel free to email me, and I'll do my best to answer them. And that's it. I hope you enjoy it. Thanks a lot. Bye.